A 12-year-old patient died after jumping from the top of a hospital parking garage, and now 15 nurses are fired. But the hospital had just closed its pediatric psych unit. Is this retaliation or a cover-up? In September last year, Providence Sacred Heart Medical Center in Spokane, Washington, announced its plans to close its inpatient pediatric psych unit. The nurses all came forward objecting to this. Even the nursing union came forward and said, look, this is not going to be sustainable. There's not enough pediatric psych beds available elsewhere. There's huge safety concerns here. They warned that something bad would happen. And at that time, the hospital actually put out a statement saying it is disappointed in the nurses and the union for spreading false information. Well, shortly thereafter, a 12-year-old patient was admitted to the general pediatric inpatient unit with suicidal ideations. She ended up being admitted for 8 months while they waited for her to get placement elsewhere. She had 2 sitters during that time, one that would be physically present at the bedside and one that was remote by camera that was viewing her too, because she had repeated suicide ideation attempts and threats during this time. And during this time, the nursing staff came forward and expressed concern that she was not getting proper treatment because they simply were not equipped for it, that she was just basically left alone in her room all day, every day, watching reruns of Friends. She wasn't getting the treatment that she desperately needed. Eventually, the hospital DC'd the 2 sitters because then she'd be easier to place elsewhere if she didn't need a sitter, right? So first they got rid of the camera, and then they got rid of the in-person sitter. Well, just a few days later, on April 13th, she freely left her room, freely left the unit, because there wasn't anything preventing her from doing it like there would be in a real psychiatric unit. So around 5:30 in the evening, she left. She walked to the top of the hospital parking garage and she jumped. And she died 2 hours later in the emergency department. Well, allegedly the employees didn't even know what was going on. They weren't getting any updates. They had some sort of a code pink or amber alert called. They were stationed at elevators, entrances, exits, but kind of left in the dark. And then later that night, they received some sort of like a threatening news alert message from management telling them, do not talk about this. Don't go on social media. You are not allowed to talk about this. And then following that, they allegedly tried to get employees to sign some sort of NDA or attestation agreement. Well, side note, those are not legal. Those are not enforceable. They cannot force you or coerce you into signing those. It must be voluntary. They can ask you to, but you must voluntarily agree to it. They cannot threaten you, coerce you into doing it. And those cannot prevent you from talking about safety concerns, illegal activity, any of that. It's not enforceable in that situation. And I'm writing an actual article about this for my Substack, so head over there for more information about this. The Department of Health actually investigated this incident and found that the hospital had endangered at least 3 other suicidal patients and not followed its own protocols. And then on April 23rd, Investigate West published an article about the incident, which included interviews with 3 employees who remained anonymous. 1 week later, on April 30th, management started questioning employees, bringing in nurses, accusing them of being the ones to speak to the media, allegedly. They were being investigated, at least 16 of them, but they were all allowed to continue working. On June 30th, the hospital terminated 15 nurses and disciplined another one for alleged HIPAA violations. The hospital is claiming that the nurses accessed the medical record of that patient inappropriately. Well, some people are saying that that's not even accurate, and maybe there was some sort of like, in Epic, the hover to discover, you can see a patient's disposition or something, but that in many cases, that's not even true at all. Thank goodness they are part of a strong union, the Washington State Nurses Association, who has filed a grievance on all of their behalf. That's a process. I'm definitely going to keep my eye on this and keep you guys updated. The family has filed a lawsuit as well for medical malpractice and negligence. But now the question remains, cover up or retaliation? The timeline is very suspicious, right? What are the chances of that many nurses committing a HIPAA violation in that time frame, right after all the heat is on the hospital, right? The silencing of nurses to make hospitals look good leads to patient harm. We need to hold hospitals accountable. They literally warned you that something like this would happen. And then it happened. And now 15 nurses are fired? Nothing to see here.